Alright, good afternoon everybody. Should be live on YouTube. Taking Derrick's place today. My name is Patrick Hall. I'm an associated member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer, and member of FINRA. All trades placed by myself are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Please pause the video, read this disclosure and positions disclosure. Only thing new, a very small IWM short that I'm not planning on keeping for too long, but we'll see how that plays out tomorrow. And that's it. Nothing new from the long side today. So just taking a look at earnings here. I hope my light speed doesn't get all slow on me, which it is. My light speed's been slower towards the end of the day. But it looks like Microsoft trading down a little bit, not too bad. Google did not look great though. Google's trading down decently. Light speed's not cooperating with me. Just give this 1 second here. Looks like Google just flashed up a bit as well. Well, that being said, so we'll see how those play out tomorrow. Still got a big week ahead of us. So tomorrow morning we have Boeing, which can play on the market a little bit. Can just be a bigger outlook for the economy as well. So Boeing tomorrow, SPY down a little bit after hours as well. So Boeing tomorrow morning, then tomorrow afternoon Meta, which definitely will be interesting. I was talking about Meta earlier. Meta's kind of in its own little troubled universe right now with what they're doing with the metaverse and how much money they're spending. So that'll be interesting, and I could see that being bad for sure. I mean, obviously it could go either way, but we'll see how that goes. And then Thursday is the big day with Apple and Amazon, which have been our two market leaders as well. Apple and Amazon, I believe, are the only real big names that have not made a new low on their year below the June low. Whereas like Google did, Microsoft did, Facebook did, and then some. So yeah, we'll see Amazon and Apple on Thursday. But so just to talk about today a little. So again, markets had a very big update today, which personally I wasn't expecting quite this much. If anything, I was actually thinking of more looking for like an inside day today, which we certainly didn't get. I forget exactly what came out pre-market, but pre-market, this dollar, I know all the currencies started to go a bit. I believe there was some news out of the UK, and forgive me, but my light speed's super laggy right now. Let me type this up on TradingView, actually. So this dollar, we've been talking about UUP 30 and this daily wedge that the UUP has been building out, which is just like the ETF for the dollar index. This dollar lost 30 today, as well as the VIX losing 30, which we've been talking about the VIX a lot too. So VIX broke down from 30, the dollar broke down from 30, and rates as well. So TNX, which had a bit of a little blow-off move the other day as well, also came down today. So the three big things that we've been watching that bulls have needed to have like a real up move all came in today, despite it already being a day 3 up for the market. The market got all the juice it needed and then some from that. That's annoying. I don't know why my light speed's lagging so much for me today. Or at the end of the day, anyway. It only really happens at the end of the day. But anyway, so rates down, Dixie dollar down, UUP below 30, VIX down below 30, and therefore market with a big up move. Oh, there's my Dixie chart. I knew I had a Dixie chart. So this wedge broke down on Dixie today. Yesterday actually perfectly held. I didn't even notice this yesterday, perfectly holding this. But this wedge that was building out on Dixie broke today. So where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us in a good spot from this morning up until now. But now Here's SPX. We're at 38.59, which is really the first resistance point I had above 3,800. We were looking at 38.50 and then 3,900. Here, I can turn these off if this is a little distracting as well. 38.50, 3,900, and then the 200-day, you start to get to looking around the 200-day, up around 4,100 or so. But so S&P's up at this first resistance spot at 38.50. Our daily ADMA on the SPX is down at 37. I mean, it's going to be up more after today, but call it 37.50-ish. So we're about 100 handles extended to the upside on our daily charts, which is fairly notable. And it's also fairly notable that Microsoft and Google Microsoft had an okay report. It looks like Google really wasn't that great, and they're trading down on it. And I can see SPY is trading 382s now, upper 382s, and we closed around 385 today. So, I mean, we're looking really good. The Bulls have everything they really need. But, again, we're just a bit extended after today. I wouldn't even say it's a bit extended. We're decently extended after today, the upside. Short-term tactical sentiment, which I can pull up this note for you. It's so weird. It's not my internet that lags. It's just light speed. But so this has been in the red for the past 2 days. And then we had this gigantic up move today. This is after this being in the red the past 2 closes. So this, I'm sure, is going to be in the red again. If anything, is even going to be more overextended, overcooked, whatever you want to call it, to the upside. So we should pause here. I'm thinking the market should pause here. Maybe even some backing, some retracement, a little bit. You don't want to see us below 3,800, but would it be that unhealthy for us to come down near 3,800 and start to build off 3,800 while our ADMA is well below 3,800? Definitely not at all. So we'll see going forward. It looks like we're going to gap. I mean, it's earnings week too, right? That's the other tricky thing. So, we just closed on highs and we're looking as good as possible. And now we're back down to this pivot that we made this afternoon on the afternoon low based on these Microsoft move, Google move. Looks like this TXN is also trading down a bit after hours. Texas Instruments, which is not great for semis as well. And that one weighs in a bit more on the economy as well at Texas Instruments. So, I apologize again about my light speed, but it's like stuck right now, and I don't want to reboot it in the middle of my meeting. So that's really the market in general. Day 3 up, extended to the upside, but the Bulls got what they were looking for in terms of lower rates, a VIX breaking down from 30, which is now VIX is coming in down to its next levels, 28, 26, so the levels we're looking at below, and the dollar breaking down as well, and it's a fast market. Just as fast as things are looking bad, things are looking good again. So yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else really to add. But again, just earnings week too, right? With Google, Microsoft, again, Meta, and it's not like it's over this week either. This is just really the start of it. But Meta tomorrow, Apple, Amazon on Thursday. It could go either way. The same way things were looking as good as possible up until the closing bell today, and then now SPY's down, like 3 points or so, like 1% almost. So we'll see. I don't know. I think that's all I really have to talk about. We have the Fed next Wednesday, which is not and they're in their blackout period this week, where I guess they can't talk or they're not supposed to talk or whatever. So we really don't have too much Fed speak this week. We do have some economic numbers, but the earnings moves are probably going to move us a bit more than those economic numbers will. PCE on Friday though. PCE Friday morning is definitely going to be important. So yeah, pretty much we have a market that looks phenomenal, but is just extended to the upside. So I'm not going to sit here and say now we need to come back down, but I'm just saying don't get too excited even just after today. It would be very healthy for us to pause a little bit. So we'll see. I didn't really get it. I mean, I was setting up this meeting, so I didn't really get a chance to look at like Microsoft or Google numbers or anything like that. So definitely we'll take a look at all the numbers after this meeting and get a better read on what things are looking at. But I think that's all I really have to talk about. I mean, it was kind of it was such a big day, but it was a less is more day, right? Most of you guys know most of the long work was done early on in this morning, and there wasn't really too much work to be done from the other side either. So it was fairly less is more. Even though it was a big day, it was kind of just a boring day with, again, the VIX trending down all day. I mean, look at this. Even like the 15-minute trend for VIX. Oops. Now I got these construction workers starting up next to me. But yeah, the VIX today, just absolute sell all day. So I think that's all I really have to talk about. I apologize for the light speed lagging as well as this construction going on the outside of my apartment. But any questions that anyone has, any compliments, complaints, concerns, anything like that, happy to answer anything or talk about anything. Again, I don't know the Google or Microsoft numbers really, so I can't, I gotta take a look at those before I give anything on that. So we'll see. I mean, looks like we're gonna gap down based on that, but you never know. Not my pool, Ricky. It's not a neighbor. I don't know what they're doing. That they like ripped down. I think someone bought the apartment and they completely ripped down the deck and they're building like it's a brownstone, so they're building this like 3-story deck and they're doing all the woodwork right outside. It's not like right out my window. It's down it's a couple doors over or anything, but it's pretty annoying, to say the least. But it is what it is. Should you close small AMD left? It is taken. Oh, so it's probably. Is my light speed finally catching up here? Yes, my light speed is finally catching up. Finally. So AMD down most likely on TXN earnings, which again I didn't see the numbers. I gotta look at all the numbers. Gotta look at Google, Microsoft, Texas Instruments for sure, but you shouldn't close it now because this is suddenly happening. You should stick to your game plan. So I don't know what your out was going to be going forward tomorrow. But that's the tricky thing about keeping swings after today when the market's on a day 3 up and it's extended. Like this AMD, quote unquote, broke out from 60 today, not in a huge way. But you kind of got to use. Technically, the right out is at least today's low in AMD. So it's very possible that shakes you out tomorrow. It's looking like that's possible now. So I wouldn't close it just because it's coming down now. I would ask you, well, what was your game plan for tomorrow? Well, yeah, but what about your downside risk, Because again, market could definitely, SPY could see 380 tomorrow and still be very healthy, not even be extended on the daily chart. Still be extended on the daily chart. So like with this AMD, if you bought like the 60 breakout, daily 80 Mays below 60 doesn't necessarily need to hold 60. So if I were you, again, you got to have your game plan, the whole thing, your best case, your target, all that, but also your worst case, your outs. You always got to have that ready. So otherwise, I don't know what your price is, but you could use 60. It's very likely that this breaks 60. Otherwise, technically, the right out's today's low. You should be giving it to today's low. Yeah, so I mean, you could sell it after hours 60. It's you know it's earning season, right? Which it's tough. It's tough with earning season. Um, you can have something look absolutely perfect, and then boom, earnings comes out and totally kills it. Which this TXN, this is a decent down move. This closed like mid 161s. Yeah, it's a decent down move on that TXN. So I don't want to tell you just sell it here and now, but you could. You could. Yeah, so Cash, I don't know if you know Derrick's swing 15, I would assume you do, but Derrick's 15-minute rule for swings, if it gaps past your out, he usually likes to give it 15 minutes and then, you use that low, whatever the low of the day is then as your out. So that at least gives it a chance to pivot a bit. It flushes, if it's going to come out back up, flushes out the weak hands, comes back up, and can very often save you from selling a bad sell. Um, so, up to you though. Depends if you keep it after hours or not. I would, I gotta read the TXN numbers and give you a better thought process after too. So, yeah. Just scrolling through the VTF, I'm not really seeing many questions here. Oh, Elliot, I missed one from Elliot. AMD is a day 1 with the market a day 3. I mean, AMD, that's the thing, like, it kind of broke out of 60 today, but not really, and it's not, I mean, AMD was green the past 2 days, even the past 3 days, really. So AMD is a day 3 today, and it's relatively weak compared to the market. So that's the first thing I'll say. AMD's day 1 with a day 3. Would that make you swing less? Yes, it would. Yeah, that would make me swing less. That would make me either swing less or not swing it. But yeah, definitely swing less, for sure. For one, the point of just, again, like I said, just look at the daily chart of AMD compared to SPY. It's relatively weak. But again, yeah, exactly what you just said. That's exactly right. Definitely a good reason to swing a little bit less. What do I think of Baba? There's so much noise and so much danger. I don't think you look at... I mean, Baba is cheap now, right? What is cheap? I don't know. I really don't... There's just the overnight news risk. It's so hard. I really think that at this point, the only thing you can do with Baba is make some game plan of yourself to buy it with an out of 0. Which I know, I guess, like, that sounds funny, but I mean, I'm serious. If you're buying, because if you're you can't average in on a trading account using leverage. It's and now, like, I'm talking about, like, money management and difference between, like, trading accounts and everything like that, but it's one thing to dollar cost average in something cheap versus 0, because you should probably be telling yourself that this is cheap, and in 10 years this Baba could double or more in 10 years, right? Like, I can see that. So in 10 years, if Baba doubles or triples, that's good risk reward. So you could either, buy some versus 0 here. You could say, I want to invest $10,000 or whatever X amount of dollars into Baba and you put 25% of that to work here, and down under 50, you put another 25 to 30% of that into work, and I don't know, you just like keep putting that to work until, I don't know, like 30 or something. I mean, who's to say that Baba can't go down to 30? I thought it was crazy. Like, I remember thinking how cheap Baba was. I remember us talking about it this past spring, when Baba, I mean, it had like this move, but even still, just it's so cheap, it's so cheap, it's so cheap. And it's down 50% from there. So who's to say Baba can't lose another 50%? This is all over. Before this is all over, I have no idea. So my thoughts are it's probably cheap, but this is a lot of danger, a lot of noise. It seems like what happened over in China over the weekend with, you know, Xi's re-election or whatever you want to call it. Was not a great look for the market, and that's why Baba had this down move. So trading wise, I really don't think there's anything to do with it in a way that I feel you have good risk reward in with good probability and isn't just like kind of a 50-50 flip, which I don't like taking trades that feel 50-50. But if you really like it, that's the only way I think you can really do it is you got to play it versus zero, and it's got to be a long-term thing, and you either got to put passive money to work with it and play it versus zero, or you got to be really active with it and sell options around it and be ready to take some pain and be ready for it to not work for a long time either, because it's cheap, it's value, but so is Intel, right? So those are my thoughts on Baba. It's very hard. I'm glad I've stayed away from it. I almost haven't stayed away. I've definitely almost bought it a couple times, but I don't know. I get that it's cheap, but you can't, I can't come in and say, you could buy Baba versus this low, because this could just gap down huge again or something. There's so much noise. So that's Baba. That's how I would play Baba if you're interested, which I'm basically saying I wouldn't play it at all, but I get the argument that it's cheap down here. I do get that. CMG puts when it gets to 1750, question mark. I haven't been to Chipotle in a while. I don't love it. Looks like they just reported after good earnings, same chart as Ford and AMD when they broke down. I wouldn't play puts. Well, I don't know about 7. This probably shouldn't get to. If puts are going to be a good play, this probably shouldn't even get to 1750. So earnings season can be fun for the morning because you can play day after earnings trades, which move pretty independently, and it doesn't really matter too much what the market's doing. So I don't know about using like a level like 7. I mean, the 1750 is like a breakout / resistance level, so it probably shouldn't even get up there. And by the way, if you're thinking Chipotle is going to 1750, you should probably buy some calls now, right? But seriously, just let it open, give it 5-ish minutes tomorrow, and then play it through the high or play it through the low. But 1750, it's just too far away. There's nothing really to do with that level right now. It's just too far. 1700 a level, 1650 is a bit of a level. So yeah, like all earnings names, the day after, let it open, let it give you an opening range, a real high, a real low, and then either play it through the high or play it through the low. I hope that makes sense. I just don't want you to get like fixed on a certain level. Yeah. With how far IWM has risen the past 3 days, which is very far indeed. Is it fair to have a bit of a short bias tomorrow morning? Of course, without seeing pre-market. With the normal extension not being in earnings season. Yeah, I don't know if I would call it a short bias. IWM has relative strength, if anything. But I do think it'd be very healthy for this to see 176-ish tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't have to break today's low or anything. It could easily retrace 50% of today's move tomorrow and still be extended on its daily chart. So don't get, like, short bias trapped in your head too hard, Zach. But at the same time, I want to say yes. I mean, I have a small bit of IWM short that I was shorting today. I really was in and out of this all day. I was shorting this extension. I was basically in and out of it until up here I just kind of had a little bit of a core that I was trading around with. Covered some here finally, like this finally moved back. And then I was debating trailing it or just using the days out, and I decided to use the days out because one, we could definitely come down from earnings, and two, I know where that daily short-term sentiment is. I know where it's been, and I know where it's probably going to be after today, and I know it doesn't stay there forever. And again, extension too. I mean, you got extension on your side, so yeah, I guess what my point, Zach, is don't think we need to have like a big down day tomorrow, but I agree with you. I wouldn't be coming in tomorrow looking to buy SPY for another big move. That's just not probable. So I hope that helps make sense of it. And yeah, you do have the 50-day too. You got the SPY 50-day as well, which is right there. I think we did not get through it, right? Just tested it. Got through it a little, didn't close above. So yeah, I would say short buy. I mean, I guess short buys tomorrow. Yeah. We'll see how Microsoft and Google react too. You know, how they take it overnight, how they react in the morning. Hey Pat, if an inside bar is forming on the 5 or 15, what would be the projected size of the breakout? Is it the size of the first bar? I want to say yes, Justin. Do you have an example? I want to say yes. Usually you get a measured move. The size of the measured move is from the range that puts that, it's the from the top to the bottom, I guess, of that range that equals that pattern, which therefore gives you that measured move. So if like SPY bull flags if SPY rips from 400 to 410 and then bull flags 410 and 407, that would give you a $3 measured move on that bull flag. That gives you a 413 target from the 410 break, and you get that $3 from the 410 to 407 range. So it's not the ignition, like, whole size necessarily. Usually it's more like that range where you build out with, if that makes sense. So, like, say SPY is inverse head and shoulders on the daily between 360 and 380. That could give you a 20-point measured move to 400, which is possibly in the works right now. But so, if you have an example, let me know, Justin, but I hope that makes sense for you. Is that Weatherford popping? Wow. This name, crazy to see this up here. This name has had quite a year for it, for itself. A lot of ups and downs in this one. Not seeing any questions on YouTube. Anything else, or you guys want to wrap it up? I definitely have to take a look at all these earnings numbers, get a read on things. Alright, looks like that's it. So, yeah, happy to wrap it up. That's fine. I mean, there wasn't too much goose over 1850. Is that a question? Wasn't really too much to talk about from today. It was just a day where the VIX went down all day. Goose over 1825 looks like a good possible setup. I mean, 18 is more the level. I would just use 18 and try to look for an ignition bar through 18 on that. Alright. Yeah, have a good night, everybody. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how we gap. Looks like we're going to gap down. Microsoft is down. Google's down. So it looks like we're going to gap down, but we closed on highs. We're extended. We're cooked to the upside. Not saying we need to have a big market down move, but let's see if this market at least pauses a little bit, which it's already starting to a little bit with Microsoft and Google. So yeah, we'll see how those react tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Have a good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.